Again, I'm Carrie Rusznak, and I'm one of the vice presidents from Alberta Union of Provincial Employee, as well as the chair of the Human Rights Committee for Alberta Union of Provincial Employees. As a lot of you, or most of you will know, our government services have been under attack with Bill 46 that the provincial government decided to come forward with in the end of their winter session. My birthday, actually, they announced it. And we moved forward with that fight from a human rights perspective as well as from a workers' perspective. When we went into bargaining with them, we had the right to go through to the arbitration process, and the arbitration process was shut down with Bill 46 being brought into the legislature. The government of Alberta is only willing to offer its 22,000 frontline workers, a majority of which are women. They want to offer us 0%, 0%, 1%, and 1% over a 4-year deal, and they wanted to legislate us to take it. AUPE made many an application to the Labour Relations Board, as well as the Queen's Bench, and as most of you will know, on February 14th, which was Valentine's Day, we had a judge that was good enough to grant us an injunction on Bill 46 so that it couldn't be implemented as of March 31st. Since that decision came down, Madam Redford, or Dreadford, has come forward to say that she will move forward with implementing that legislation anyway, because she doesn't see that we can manage by giving her frontline workers an increase of any kind. When we look at the growth over the last 12 months, where weekly average earnings have increased 3.6%, over a 10-year period, that will mean that the 22,000 frontline government workers will lose approximately $35,000. We continue to move forward from a human rights perspective. We're waiting for all of our legal challenges and our charter challenges on this. And I want to thank you all for coming forward today and standing up for the rights of women on International Women's Day. And I'm proud to be here to speak to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. And I too want to honor the fact that we are here on Treaty 7 land, and I want to thank the sisters for the powerful words that remind us every day that there is not only gender inequality, but there's lots of racial inequality. I challenge us all to think about if 600 Caucasian women went missing and just weren't ever heard from again, whether there wouldn't be a public inquiry. I think yesterday's decision was a shame. I've been asked to talk about the issue of the attacks on our pensions and the attacks on our labor rights, and I'll try to do that. I've got a few notes. I'll just double check to make sure I haven't missed anything major. Currently, labor rights are what we have been fighting for forever. The efforts of unions have helped to get us rights as women. Our unions have fought for childcare, for maternity leave, for equal pay for work of equal value, against sexual harassment in the workplace, against domestic violence as a factor at home or in the workplace, and the list goes on. And these rights are under attack. One of the key ways of affecting women's equality is to achieve economic equality. And economic equality means we need to get paid properly. I represent 25,000 public sector workers. They are health professionals. And in public service, more than 50% of government workers are women. In healthcare, it is dramatically more so. It's probably closer to 75 to 80% that are women. And therefore, every time a government policy affects the job, the pay, as Sister Carrie talked about, of public sector worker, it has a differential impact on women. So when they say, public service workers, you get to have 0011, and I note, by the way, and Carrie didn't mention it, that the other thing they tried to stick in there, just to stick it to the union, was we'll give you an $875 bonus or lump sum, but you don't have to pay union dues on it, right? Let's just stick it to the union that's been working for you. Anyway, so when they tell AUPE members that you should take those zeros, that has a differential impact on women. My members and the members of the United Nurses of Alberta and the United Nurses and the Canadian Union of Public Employees and your sisters in nursing in healthcare from AUPE they understand that if they try to do that and get away with it in the public service, in other words, direct government employees, we will be next. And therefore, again, we will have differential impacts on the economic equality of women. And by the way, then we bring in Bill 45, which would actually, if the women had the temerity to protest and go on strike, that they could have the effect of finding us out of existence.
Shame.
Yet another impact on our ability to fight for everyone's rights, and particularly for women's rights. So that's one. And finally, of course, hopefully you've been seeing, I know some of you were at the Churchill Square last Sunday. Thank you for ordering much nicer weather for today. It was very, very cold. And it was about as cold as the hearts under the dome, because the next thing they want to do is to cut the pensions of public service workers. In a province where most workers don't have any workplace pensions, rather than saying, how do we ensure retirement dignity for all, they want to take it away from those who have it. And I think our challenge is to make sure that we fight for retirement dignity for all. So the Canadian Labour Congress and all the unions that are affiliated, and many that are unaffiliated, have been working for years to try to say it isn't right that only public service workers have good pensions. It isn't right that so few workers have any kind of retirement security when they work. It isn't right that we should have to work until our bodies fall apart and then maybe fall to some government program to support us. We should have the right to expect that after a work of service, and particularly of public service, that we can retire with dignity. And we need to extend that dignity to every worker, male, female, and transgendered, whatever, however you identify, and particularly women. So when Mr. Horner tells us in his budget speech 2 days, 3 days ago that, gee, aren't we good? Our taxes are so low that if we collected the same taxes as the next highest province, we could say we would be collecting another $11.6 billion. And he seems to be proud of that, as he's telling us we have to tighten our belts, as he's telling us we can't afford to ensure that people have decent pensions and decent wages and decent conditions. As they privatize more and more services to the either for-profit or charity sector, where wages get depressed even more and benefits are even harder. I know that a number of you work in those sorts of agencies. You should be able to do the work that you do with a reasonable pay level, and to be able to actually save for your retirement. And thank you. And our sisters who provide personal care and child care. I don't know the exact statistics, but I am prepared to bet my next paycheck that it's probably well over 95% of the people who provide home care, who provide personal care in long-term care facilities, and who provide child care. And so anything that affects that sector is obviously a women's issue. And your pay and your benefits are atrocious, and we need to work to make sure that everybody has decent pay and benefits so that you too can aspire at some point to be able to retire in dignity. I mean, looking out for... What jobs are more critical in our society than looking after our young people, making sure that they get a great start in life? And some of you are doing such a fabulous job. Some of these lovely young kids here, they're so great. And our elderly. That is critically important work, and we value it as if we want to throw away not only the people who are being cared for, but the people who are providing the caring. So as unions, we will continue the fight to make sure that everybody gets a decent paycheck, that everybody gets decent retirement security, and that all of us can live together in dignity and honor the work that all of us do.